Hey Super Rams! Today we're going to do something different. Today we're going to do a little bit of science. For second grade, if we were at school, we would be creating and experimenting with simple machines. So I'm going to show you what some of those things are, and you're going to realize, oh my gosh, Mrs. Zent, I have so many simple machines around my house. Simple machines are things that make our life and work easier. The first one I'm going to introduce is called an inclined plane. And an inclined plane can also be called a ramp. An inclined plane is used to push heavy items up or down more easily, way easier than taking the stairs. It's easier to push something or pull something up an inclined plane than it is to carry it or take it up the stairs. For example, my kids, when they were little, they used to have ramps, and they might drive their toy cars up those ramps. When I was little, we used to make ramps on the sidewalk and ride our bikes up and kind of make a jump off of that ramp. Sometimes you might see a ramp used or an inclined plane used for someone in a wheelchair. Someone might be pushing them up because they can't use the stairway. All right, our next one is a lever. A lever looks kind of like a seesaw. It's a straight bar. This is a straight bar, and it's called the plane, and it sits on something that's called a fulcrum. And the way that this heavy box gets lifted is if we push down on this end. So let's say that you were on a teeter-totter or a seesaw with Mrs. Zent. Mrs. Zent is the heavier person, so I would be down low and you would be up high because you're lighter, and I would have to push off to go up to bring you back down. So some examples of a lever, I have a few. I have scissors are an example of a lever. I bet everyone has some of those. If you look in your toolbox, you might have a set of pliers. That's a lever. Also, if anybody has been working out, when you use a weight, your arm is like a lever. So you have to look around your house, see if you have any levers. Be safe though, don't be running around with the scissors. All right, our next one is called a wheel and axle. And it's exactly what it means. Here's the wheel. And then the axle is like a bar or a post that turns. So if you turn the wheel, the axle also turns. If you turn the axle, the wheel also turns. Okay? And they just make work easier. You might find a wheel and axle on a bike wheel. Any kind of transportation pretty much has a wheel. Think about airplanes. Think about bicycles. Think about scooters, roller skates. Even have them. Could you imagine how hard your work would be if your bicycle tires were square? You would definitely not move very fast. But if your bicycle tires are round, like they truly are, you can go as fast as you can. I have a little car. These are examples of wheels and axles. You can't really see the axles. You can see them a little bit there. Okay? And they move together. I also have, this is like a fighter jet, and underneath here we have the fan that makes it move, and it's on a wheel and axle also. So you have to look around, see if you can find anything like that. Also in your kitchen, your mom or your grandma might have a wheel and axle. This is a rolling pin, okay? These turn and this rolls. This is like a giant wheel. And it rolls. If they're rolling out cookie dough or pie dough, they might use a rolling pin. And that's considered a wheel and axle. Pretty cool. All right. Next one, we have something called a wedge. Not a wedgie, don't be silly. This is called a wedge. And what a wedge does, it might split things. Like, have you ever seen an axe chop wood? You might see a shovel. It acts like a wedge and a lever, kind of. You might see one of these to hold a door open. It's called a door stop. A nail that you hammer into the wall. or to make a project is a wedge. Also, a knife is a wedge. If you are cutting a piece of bread or anything that you cut, it makes your knife into a wedge. It splits it or it cuts it. Next one I have is called a pulley. Pulleys are so fun. In this, a pulley uses a wheel and a rope to lift something called a load. In this picture, the load is in this pail, okay? When you pull down this rope, the load goes up. And did you know if you use a pulley, you can lift things that you couldn't normally lift, almost like a superhero, like you had superpowers and were so strong that you could lift something that you couldn't just normally lift up from the ground. You might see pulleys when you're driving along the road, and there might be construction where there's giant cranes. They use pulleys to maybe lift and move things. Also, if you're in a hotel or a mall and you need to take an elevator is moved by pulleys. And I'm going to show you an example of a pulley that I have. And this one has 3 wheels on it, okay? And if I were going to just lift this load here with my bare hands, it would be heavier. But because I have the rope wrapped around these wheels, it makes it so much easier to lift. So the more wheels that you have, the easier it is to lift. Now, we could do this with just one. Okay? And you can see I'm pulling. Oh, that is so heavy. Keep pulling, pulling. And then my load is lifted up to the next level. Pretty cool, huh? That's a pulley. My last one I'm going to share with you is called a screw. You might have seen this maybe in your toolbox. Maybe your grandpa or your dad or even your mom probably has a toolbox. You can attach things to a wall using this type of screw. A bottle cap sometimes screws on and off, like on your Gatorade bottle or your Pepsi bottle. That's considered a screw, huh? I have 3 little examples of screws right here. They come in all shapes and sizes. These are examples. We use these for building. These are my husband's. Here's another example. Here's a water bottle. And do you see the ridged top? I have my lid, and I turn it to close it. That acts as a screw. Here's another example. They can be all shapes and sizes again. Here's my Ohio State cup. I put a straw in the middle, but here's the ridge again, and then the lid also has ridges, and I turn it, and it screws it on. So cool. So I wonder how many simple machines you can find in your house. So you'll have to let me know. You can text me your answers, or if you're on Google Classroom, you're going to draw a picture and send it to me, okay? If you want to build one of these simple machines, maybe you have Legos, you have building blocks, you have toy cars, you might be able to build some of these on your own. Also, you can look up on YouTube simple machines for kids, and there's some videos that you might want to watch to see different types of simple machines. All right, you guys have a great day. I love you.